as Emily said, my name is Ashley Watkins. I have the privilege of working at United Airlines on the strategic communications team. So I want to kick off this discussion with, well, who are you people on the stage right now? But also a little whimsy. So I'd like you all, my esteemed panelists, to introduce yourself, your current role, your background and experience, but with a little bit of a twist. So picture it. You're at a family gathering and you're talking to an aunt or uncle who may or may not have had one or two Miller Lights, or in this case, a Coors Light. Shout out to Coors. And they haven't seen you since you were 12. So I think we always have our elevator pitch for people who are of like minds, who work in corporate spaces and understand the lingo. But in this case, how do you talk about your role with Aunt Hilda? That's literally my aunt. And then also share a moment early on in your life that foreshadowed your career path. So for example, I worked in communications. I also, at 7 years old, found an error in one of my books. My mom said, oh, you should write the editor. So I found the address in the book and I wrote them a letter. And here I am today as a communications professional. So, Suzanna, would you like to kick it off?
Sure. All right, so I'm not allowed to say agnostic or interoperable or any of those jargon words. Hi guys, I'm so excited to be here. I'm Suzanna Stevens. I'm from San Francisco, the wild, wild west of San Francisco. So much cleaner here than it is there. And at Adstra, what we're doing is we're connecting data to actual people to make it meaningful and fruitful for the marketers and brands. And then my foreshadowing is, I think whenever I'd go to the library with my parents, I was always in the cartoon section, and I love cartoons, and I didn't actually like cartoons. Now that I think of it, it was the media part that was interesting to me. So psychologically connecting that to actual content, and now I'm here. So
awesome, that's a good story. Hello, this works. Hi, I'm Rebecca Rogalski, the head of Creative Ad Solutions at Roku, where I lead brand strategy across multiple verticals or categories. And at Roku, our mission is pretty simple. We aim to make TV better for everyone, both consumers and advertisers. And innovation is really at the heart of everything that we do. And my team in particular develops custom, big, high-impact campaigns for our advertisers that leverage all of Roku's ad products and content offerings and curated experiences to meet client objectives and to drive results. Prior to Roku, I was in the publishing world. I was at Condé Nast and Hearst for many years, and I actually went to college at Northwestern, so I'm thrilled to be back in Chicago. I love this city very much. And I'm based in New York. I live in Connecticut. And an early childhood memory, I did not really prepare this, but one does pop to my mind, and that's when I was in 4th grade, and Doc Martens were all the rage, and they're actually back in style now, so trends are cyclical, as we all know. And my parents would not buy them for me because they were pretty pricey for a 10-year-old. So I put together a presentation with the poster board and the magazine clippings and those glitter pens to kind of walk my parents through the reasons why it was essential that they buy me the Doc Martens, and it worked. So I think early on I realized that I kind of had a knack for storytelling and for problem solving, creative problem solving, if you will. But I also realized that if you know your audience and you connect with them and you deliver your message effectively, then it could actually drive results.
I love that. My name is Jacqueline. Hi, everyone. I lead the strategy team at #Paid, which is a creator economy company. On a base level, we connect brands with creators to help them market effectively. I loved the Claire's presentation, hearing about TikTok. Creators are that way in. And so that's sort of how we started. The team that I'm leading is essentially helping brands to build out really holistic, impactful strategies when it comes to creators. And I'm sure through our questions, we'll get more to that. In terms of a story of me, it's similar. It's in the gifting realm. I always asked for technology when I was growing up for my birthdays. And one that comes to mind was a see-through cassette player, like Walkman, so I could see the tech inside of it. I've spent the last 8 years plus in the tech space, and before that was a television producer, so similarly a storyteller at heart.
Awesome. Yeah, with Claire's, I was like, oh, 2 of the 4 holes in my head are
Right.
Claire's.
Yes,
Thank you
same,
guys,
yes.
so much. But let's get into the meat of things. So we're talking about the future of media and digital innovation, and I think that, well, how are you envisioning the evolution of traditional media outlets in the face of that? And then what are we keeping and what are we leaving behind?
Sure, I'm happy to. Okay, well, just to set the stage, at Roku, our vision is that all TV and all TV advertising will be streamed. So Roku, for those that aren't as familiar, it's the #1 leading streaming platform in the US and Mexico with over 80 million active accounts. So we often refer to Roku as the lead-in or even the front door to all TV. So we're able to engage the consumer from the moment they turn on their television throughout their entire streaming journey. So what we're focusing on this year is leaning further into the power of our entire platform and really leveraging Roku's data and tech to take our massive scale and turn it into performance for our brands.
All right.
Yeah, I'll add to that. I feel like what we're leaving behind, maybe not leaving behind, is what is quality content. And I think the creator economy and the creator evolution is reshaping what that means. And it's a very interesting thing to see and to watch happen around us. Historically, I think the idea of quality content has been high production value, really slick looking brand assets. And you have this rise of social that has just like catapulted in the last 10 to 20 years. And now what's happening, and I've heard a lot about Gen Z today, Gen Z, when it comes to what quality content is to them, production value is actually not very high on that scale. It's about, is this relative to me? Is this relatable to me? Can I see myself in this content? And I'm personally very lucky to have built a career where I get to be at the edge of the new. I see some past Snapchat colleagues here. I was at Meta for a bit before #paid. This to me is just the beginning. And when we look at the media landscape, this idea of creators being on social, that's table stakes. Creators being in every single part of your business and your business strategy, that to me is the future. And I think looking at how brands show up on like a Patreon is going to be a really interesting thing to see as this continues to evolve.
Awesome, and I'm gonna have you hold that mic, because I think what you're saying really rolls into my next question, which is, can you share how enhancing the consumer and advertising experience is operating out of your worlds, especially on the creator front, that authenticity piece and how it's being received?
Yeah, for sure. So I would say it's around trust. There was a Nielsen report not too long ago that said 92% of consumers trust creator assets versus brand assets. And for those reasons that I was just sort of talking about, it being relatable and they can see themselves in those communities. So I would say that that's a big part of it. Efficiencies, we're finding a lot of advertisers are finding it quite easy to move budgets over into the creator space, and it's, like I mentioned, a lower production cost to get those assets. And in this space, as we all know, testing and learning often requires quite a few assets in order to do that, so there's a lot of efficiencies there. So trust and efficiency are two of the big areas that I would say that the creator economy is shaping behaviors and changing the space. And that's the last one that I would mention, is the shift in consumer behaviors. With the creator economy, TikTok wouldn't be what it is without creators making that content. So the shift in the content that people are creating and the content that people are consuming and want to consume, that is a huge, huge movement that is, I think we're only just at the beginning of what that looks like.
I can add a little to that. Just speaking about how to enhance the consumer and advertiser experience. So there are a few trends that we're actually seeing across the industry that are affecting both consumers and advertisers, and that includes discoverability of content, right? Fragmentation of content, it's all over the map. And also the serial churning of apps. You all know that you subscribe to an app and then maybe binge watch a show and then cancel the service after a month. That's becoming a major issue for advertisers. So in response to that, Roku actually recently launched a few curated destinations of content that we're calling zones, and that curates all the best of content across the entire platform. For example, we have the All Things Food Zone, so it's the best culinary content all in one single, easy to discover destination, and we're bringing brands along with us. Coca-Cola was our first sponsor, and they were able to actually engage with the streamer from the moment they turned on the TV throughout their entire streamer's journey, and that really made the brand unmissable on our platform, which is becoming a really crowded TV ecosystem, so we're able to give these brands big moments to shine.
I think that one thing that's really stuck out to us, or selling to brands and retail media networks, is companies and brands are more willing to work with each other, more willing to be interoperable, agnostic, when a lot of these kind of outdated systems are realizing that you have to have partnerships in this ecosystem to be successful and thrive, because when you're not working together with other brands or partners, then things fizzle out a lot more than how it used to be. So
Great. This next one, I'm gonna go back to Maggie's introduction this morning, where she was talking about working at BlackBerry, and she said 2010, and I said, well, actually, you were working at US Cellular selling BlackBerries at the same time. So in a parallel path, we were on the same track. And I actually think there's someone from US Cellular in the room today. We'll talk later. But in that in-store experience, thinking about 2010, that's the acceleration of the smartphone. The BlackBerry was the thing, and I had the privilege of selling it and getting people out of flip phones into the World Wide Web. And also working with customers who said, why is my bill so high? And it's like, wow, you're spot on, it's 20 cents more. But also, I think the government's tapping my phone, and you're like, oh, well, what are you doing, sir, to warrant that? But the whole point of that is, besides the parallel paths of Maggie and I's career, is there's a raised consciousness for many consumers about digital media, marketing, advertising. They understand who you market it to. I know that there's some mouse behind there running the wheel. And some would say it skews negative. The consumer is viewing it as a negative change because of that understanding that there's more data and more ways that we are able to reach that. So how can brands build trust as well as create transparency with clients and consumers?
I can go. I'm going to be blunt with this because I feel like the blunt part of brands is kind of one of our favorites, is when they're completely honest and raw with data collection. And something that we were talking about earlier is when a brand or you go on a website and they kind of trick you, right? You feel a bit deceived. So I think that that's something that if the more honest you are and the more transparent you are about these things, then the easier it is going to be for me. And also, it's I don't mind getting an advertisement about a Steve Madden shoe that I want. I can appreciate that personalization versus something that, I would never get. So I'm also in advertising though, so that's probably why too, but.
I'll add on to that. Yeah, going back to Roku's mission, we want to make TV better for everyone, and a great example of this is what we've done with Roku City, which is our iconic, beloved screensaver that millions of streamers watch every single day. And this past spring, we actually opened up some real estate in Roku City for our advertisers, including McDonald's and Disney and Mattel. And these engaging executions actually resulted in positive brand awareness amongst consumers and positive consumer sentiment. So today, Roku City activations are amongst our most popular ad offerings because consumers love the fun and playful integrations. They love finding the little Easter eggs throughout the entire city. And then advertisers love that they're able to display their brand messaging, break through the fold, but not do it in an intrusive or disruptive way to consumers.
And this is going to be a shock what my answer is not. How do brands create trust? It's with creators. It really is. We're at this pivotal moment in time during the pandemic. We've talked a lot about the travel industry in the pandemic. In 2020, when we were all at home, sorry to PTSD everyone in this room on this, but we're all at home, we're all on our phones, and in 2020 there was 165 million new people join the creator economy. And it's been 4 years of those people that we're all following. All of us in this room, we're following many creators, very likely, that we've developed very close relationships with those creators. And so there's a trust there, and then that trust gets further layered when you add that aspect of authentic brand partnerships. There are times that it won't make sense to partner with a creator, but I think a lot of the times, if you're strategic and thoughtful about it and approach it in a way that that brand and that connection to that person is authentic, that trust and like you're saying about, this is relative to me and this makes sense to me, pairing that brand plus the creator that you have that relationship with, that's where it really works nicely together.
So I think looking ahead and maintaining that trust, maintaining a certain level of accountability to that trust. How can we all be good stewards of a rapidly changing industry? And how do we make it inclusive to avoid blind spots or untapped potential?
I would say that you need to continue to invest and build diverse teams. If you don't have a diverse team that's building your product or your strategy, there will innately be blind spots. I also, when it comes to AI, there's a really interesting example from Dove right now. They've actually come out with AI prompts that have been engineered to result in more inclusive and DEI favoring responses from the AI tools. So I think it's the teams that you're building your products and what it is that you're focused on, having diversity as a core there. But then when you're looking at adopting these new tools, finding ways, and Dove is a great example that's done this for us, or at least taken a first step to approaching it with a way, with more of a DEI lens.
Yeah, we're always looking for new ways to innovate and evolve our branded content to be more inclusive and more reflective of our diverse audience. And a good example of that is this spring we're actually launching a Roku original series in partnership with Ally Bank called Side Hustlers. And this show will have successful investors work with young women to turn their side hustle into the main hustle. And Ally Bank is so excited because they've always been invested in uplifting communities and inspiring the next generation, and now they found the platform to do that with Roku.
I'll add to that really quickly. Just kind of what Jacqueline said as well. I think something that none of us want to really admit because it's a hit to our ego, but getting feedback from our clients and customers that sometimes may not be exactly what we want to hear, but improvising and working cross-collaboratively on teams, because I feel like a lot of teams, the marketers have their one goal, the salespeople have their goals, but when it comes to actually putting those together, everyone's sometimes like, well, that's not my gig. But when you guys are working together and you're talking to product and you're giving them feedback from what the customers are saying, it's just going to improve the overall genuine spirit of the company, but also like your product. So. Almost forgot.
Yeah, I kind of knew that. And so to that end, do you have examples of ways that you've had to shepherd that through? Because I think sometimes we all know this is the right thing to do, but sometimes not everybody's on board, or they don't see the value. And if we know this is the path that we need to make ourselves get to, how are we bringing everyone along, either willingly or unwillingly? They have to be dragged.
In regards to DEI?
Yeah, DEI, untapped potential, spaces that you haven't explored before, that sort of thing.
It's been a hard muscle for me to lean into more and more because at heart I'm more of a creative and that's been my training, but data and examples. When I was at Snap, we had an incredible leader, Una King, as the DE&I lead, who I think is at Uber now. And she was able to have quite a bit of transformation at the company by leaning into the data around the performance of more diverse teams. So I would say in terms of DE&I, looking at the business outcomes, unfortunately it might not, to me it's like, why do we need to really prove this? It feels like it should be an obvious thing to be inclusive. But if you're talking about bringing the whole organization along, if you can have data to back up how this impacts various elements of your organization, it makes the idea a lot more solid and indisputable, I would say.
I would also say, Jacqueline, when you said AI, I for sure thought like some robots were gonna roll in, and I'm kind of disappointed. We'll work on that. Well, great. So I think we always think about the things that are in the future, the company as the future, the stuff. But sometimes we're not thinking about, well, who's coming up behind us? Or if we're talking about new eras for brands with a legacy, I think we also build legacies as mentors, as leaders, and we've got folks who are building in to be professionals themselves. And so thinking about that next generation of digital advertisers, media professionals, all of that, what skills and competencies do you want to pass on to the next generation, or what do you feel that they need to be equipped with to be successful in their careers?
I would say simply stay curious, think big, ask all of the questions, and most importantly, don't forget about the consumer. The consumer should be always at the forefront of everything you're bringing to market.
I'll add to that. Well, I think that data content is king, or queen, I should say. And why I say that is because there's so many trends and there's so many new shiny objects in 2024 and to continue. And so instead of having to kind of analyze or try to predict the next trend, using that data to lead you is the most solid way to do that with a good foundation. So
I'll add one more thing. I'm sure most people in this room feel the same way, but we're at the precipice with AI of the transformation of any industry that will be bigger than when we got the internet. So I think if you're not individually investing in learning the AI tools that are crucial to your role, you will be eclipsed by someone that might not be as good as you, but they use those tools. I'm reading so much about this space, and I believe this so wholeheartedly. It's absolutely crucial, because imagine doing your job before the internet, and you thought, I don't know about that internet thing. We're at that exact same spot, but like times a million. So it might sound daunting, it might feel daunting, but get in there, be messy with it, make mistakes, because if you don't, the people that are doing that right now, they will be selected for opportunities that you want that you weren't able to get because you weren't leaning into that. So not necessarily related to like creators, but in terms of advice to the next generations or just this room, that's just my POV on that.
For sure. All right. And then we're gonna end with a little bit of a heavy hitter, which are ethical considerations. So thinking about those new technologies, we're on the precipice of AI, cue the robots. What do we need to consider for media and digital advertising as it relates to that? What are the things that we need to keep our eye on the ball for to ensure that we are doing the right thing and then making sure that the end result produces something that is sustainable?
Okay, yeah. I mean, embracing new technologies is allowing us to create a more personalized dreamer experience in terms of content recommendations and brand experiences. It's better for both the consumer and the advertiser, right? But on the flip side of things, privacy and the overall protection of the consumer is still of the utmost importance. So all media companies should still make sure to keep the consumer at the forefront of everything they're doing.
And I think another thing that my younger sister loves to remind me of all the time is that I don't understand, and that, I don't understand how TikTok works, and I don't get it. And I think that it's a very humbling and also indicative thing of our kind of ad tech, marketing tech world, of if we go in there with the thought that we get it, that's not putting the consumer, that's not putting the customer first. That's us thinking we have a good narrative and going with that, where if we reverse that and focus on what they want, what they're looking for, what their, personalized efforts are, then it's going to be a lot more of a success, a good outcome.
And from the creator angle, I would say as marketers, really do your research as to who you're partnering with. It's a very oversaturated place. There's a lot of partners and platforms you can go to connect with creators. They're definitely not all created equal. And when we talk about Gen Z, I read recently that I think 50% of Gen Z aspires to be, how it used to be like, I'm gonna be an astronaut. It's to be an influencer, to be a creator. So finding platforms that really put that creator first, whether it's, there's stories right now around payment terms and how long until creators get paid by the platforms that they're partnering with. So you as the marketers hold that power of the dollar and where you spend that. So really looking into the ethics and the systems and process of your partners that you're selecting when you're looking at the creator space.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And have a great rest of your day. There we go. Thank you.